Charisma is one of those things that come back a lot in the conversation about dating and everything. And guys will say, "Oh, you need to have charisma. You need to know how to talk to women. You need to know how to, you know, be smooth and be able to go with the flow and just be able to maintain conversation. Know how to like charisma is a big thing when it comes to dating and everything, but also everything else, politics. People will say, "Oh, you need to have charisma to be a great speaker, to be a great public speaker. You need to talk a certain way where people will listen to you. You can command an audience, and all those things that people will say about charisma, and that's great, and I understand that. But I've been thinking about it. I'm like, when you really actually think about it, you realize charisma is really for low IQ people. What do I mean it's for low IQ people? What I mean by that is it's something that you need in order to convince and to persuade the masses. That's really what it is. That's really what charisma is. When you look at when high IQ people are having a conversation, they could care less about charisma, speak a certain way. They could care less about that. When high IQ people are talking, it's really more about the ideas. It's not about trying to make your voice a certain way and you know in order to carry to command the audience, in order to convince people. It's really just the ideas. And a lot of times high IQ people, when they're discussing ideas or they're discussing something complex, they'll a lot of times they'll actually use very few words. The fewer words you use, the better. It's almost like you get annoyed at the idea that you need to use more words, or you need to sound better, you need to speak better, or you get annoyed by that because you're like, it's about the ideas. And if I could transmit these ideas without even talking, that would be like 10 times better, right? So you quickly realize, like, when people are talking about people, somebody having charisma, it's really a low IQ. It's for the low IQ masses. It's to convince the low IQ masses. That's what you need charisma for, right? That's what you need. You need charisma to be a politician, so that people can vote for you, right? Because you're lying to people, you have to lie to them in a way where it makes it believable. That's the whole point of charisma: to say some shit that's not true, but to say it in a way where people will believe you. That's the whole idea. Okay. But if you're a high IQ, you can pretty much bypass the charisma and listen to what the guy's saying. You're like, oh, this guy's full of shit. Yeah, he sounds great and all, but what he's saying is not true at all, right? That's really, you know, you can get past the filter, the lies, and you can identify that the guy's full of shit. See what I'm saying? So yeah, should you try to be more charismatic to get women, to get a job, to get promoted at your job? Sure, if you're dealing with low IQ people or people who are not aware for the most part, you will have to be more charismatic. You'll have to slightly be more charismatic. But if you are in a high IQ environment, all of a sudden that's not necessary, because they can see what you have to offer. They're like, yeah, this guy, he's obviously the best engineer. He's obviously the best. Sorry about that. Let me get away from the noise. These people are playing frisbee competitively. And saying, you're like, okay, you know, they could see what your skills are. They don't need you to put on a front. They don't need you to do that for you to get promoted, right? And that's the beautiful thing with that. See what I'm saying? So yeah, let me know what you think.